Time for some Aesop's Fables. Mercury and the Sculptor. Mercury, remember, is the messenger god in Roman perspective. So there were times when Mercury, between errands on Olympus, yearned to know whether he still was held in high esteem by mankind. So one day, disguising himself as a traveler, he visited a sculptor's studio. Walking about among the many statues displayed there, he pointed to an image of Jupiter. "How much are you asking for this odd piece?" he asked. "I'll let you have that one cheap," replied the sculptor. "It is one of our less popular numbers, 1 drachma." Mercury laughed in his sleeve. Then he asked, "How much for this stout lady here?" The sculptor said, "Oh, that one is Juno. I have to get a little more for females." Mercury's eye now caught sight of an image of himself. Thinking that as a messenger of the gods and source of all commercial gain, his image would command a gratifyingly high price, he said, "I see you have a very handsome statue here of Mercury. How high do you value that excellent likeness?" "Well," replied the sculptor, "I am willing to make you a bargain. If you will pay me the price I quoted to you on the other 2 statues, I will throw this one in for free." Good for him. He who seeks a compliment sometimes discovers the truth. All right, the farmer and his sons. A farmer, being on the point of death, called his 2 sons to him and said, "My sons, I am now departing from this life, but all that I have to leave you is to be found in the vineyard." As soon as the old man was dead, the 2 sons, believing that their father had meant to tell them of some hidden treasure, set to work with their spades and plows and turned over the soil of the vineyard again and again. They found no treasure, it is true, but the vines, strengthened and improved by this thorough tillage, yielded a finer vintage than they have ever had yielded before, and more than repaid the farmer's sons for their efforts. Industry sometimes pays unexpected dividends. The bundle of sticks. Once there was a wise farmer whose quarrelsome family drove him almost to distraction. He strove in vain to reconcile his bickering sons with words of good counsel. Then one day he called his sons to his room. Before him lay a bundle of sticks, which he had tied together to form a pile. It's called a faggot, F-A-G-O-T, and that means a pile of sticks in a bundle. Each one of his sons, in turn, was commanded by the farmer to take up the faggot and break it in two. They all tried, but tried in vain. Then, untying the bundle, the father gave them the sticks to break one by one. This, of course, they did with the greatest ease. Then said the father, "My sons, by this example you all can see that as long as you remain united, you are a match for all your enemies. But once you quarrel and become separated, then you are destroyed. In union, there is strength." Ooh, the eagle and the crow. Do you see there's a ram, there's a crow, there's the eagle, and he's got something in his claws, his talons. An eagle swooped down from a high rock and pounced upon a lamb grazing near her mother in the field. With a great beating of powerful wings, he seized the lamb and flew away to his nest. A crow sat in an oak tree watching the eagle's exploits. Said he to himself, "Surely that is an easy way to find oneself a dinner. Ah!" So, spying a sturdy old ram below him, he bore down with all the force he could muster, intending to carry the ram off as a prize. He fastened his claws in the wool and tugged with all his might, but nothing happened. As a matter of fact, the ram wouldn't have known he was there if it had not been for the crow's frantic efforts to disentangle his claws from the wool. The crow's squawking attracted the attention of the shepherd, who came up and caught him and clipped his wings and took him home to the children for a pet. It requires more than wings to be an eagle. Ooh, that's a good one. The mule. A mule had been having an easy time of it with nothing to do but eat. One day, as he was frisking about the pasture, he began to fancy himself a runner. "My mother has a famous racehorse. I'll bet I can run as fast as ever she can," he said to himself. And to prove it, he set off at what he thought was a fast pace toward the barn. Not so long afterward, the mule's master found it necessary to get to the village in a great hurry. Jumping upon the animal's back, the farmer began to flog him and urge him to greater speed until the mule, gasping for breath, said, "My mother, My mother may have been a racehorse, but my father was only a jackass. A jackass is a male donkey. Every truth has two sides. Here's the last story for tonight. The Nurse and the Wolf. If you don't stop crying this instant, said an old nurse to the child who sat screaming on her lap, I will throw you out the window to the wolf. At that very moment, a wolf happened to be passing under the window and heard what the nurse had said, so he sat down to wait, saying to himself, This is my lucky day. From the way that baby is crying, my dinner ought to be coming out that window any minute now. And he waited, and he waited. The baby stopped crying and went to sleep, and nothing happened. All through the cold night, the wolf sat there, his mouth watering whenever he thought of the dainty morsel. He was tired and stiff from sitting in one position. Then toward morning, the glad sound of a baby crying came from the window again. Rushing to the window, he looked up at the nurse and wagged his tail, but all the old nurse did was to shut the window with a bang and set the dogs upon the hungry wolf. As he trotted away, the wolf said to himself, Next time I won't believe all I hear. Enemies' promises are made to be broken. Well, there you go. There's some wisdom in some of those statements. That was Aesop's Fables. Bye for now.